Hey, Wellness Walker, you've been carrying a lot, holding space for everyone else, kids, family, responsibilities, and now here you are standing at a quieter point on the path of life. You're no longer who you were. You're not quite yet where you're headed. And this place, it's not quite home yet. That in-between place may feel unfamiliar and, yes, a little uncomfortable because you've always been the one with the plan, the energy, and the next move. But now you are being invited to rest. If this is resonating with you, stay tuned because today's Pep Talk Walk is inspired to help you. Rest between roads.
Full potential.
Resting between roads is your sacred pause on the walk of life. You see, the walk of life isn't just one road. It's a series of them. Each road brings new people, new priorities, and new pieces of who you become. Some of those roads you look back on with deep love, joyful stretches with laughter, connection, and purpose. Others were harder, marked by heartbreak, loss, or detours you never saw coming. And then there are the roads you're still trying to make sense of, the ones you outgrew or the ones that change you in ways you are only now beginning to understand. But no matter what the last road held, there always comes a moment before the next one begins. That moment is what I call rest between roads. And this is your reminder to do just that because growth doesn't always look like movement. Sometimes the most powerful progress happens when you choose to rest, especially after carrying decades of caregiving, career pressure, or invisible labor. It's time to stop seeing rest as a luxury or a reward, or worse, a sign of weakness. Because when rest is delayed, dismissed, or denied, any of what I like to call the 3Ds, it affects every layer of your well-being, from your heart and hormones to your joy and sense of identity. So let me ask you, when was the last time you took a rest? Yes, I'm checking in on you. When was the last time you took a rest? What if your next walk wasn't about getting something done, but about letting go and just resting? Think about that. Because this episode isn't about setting a pace, stepping through fear, or walking it out. This one is about rest. Today, I'm sharing 3 micro rest strategies, tiny doable practices that take little time but make a big difference in your well-being. Let's rest between roads.
Feels like sunshine. Feels like self-love.
Micro strategy number 1. Use off-switch moments throughout your day. That's right. Don't wait for exhaustion to take a rest. You need to understand that rest doesn't have to be big to be powerful. Sometimes the reset your body, mind, and heart are craving is just 5 minutes away. This looks like stepping away from everyone and everything to rest. Device free from your presence. Demands frozen in time. Dilemmas forgotten for the moment, right? So that the focus is solely on resting. Shut a door, bedroom, car, or even the bathroom. Breathe. Place your hand over your heart and just be one song's length. That's it. That off-switch moment is exactly that. The deep breathing calms your nervous system, slows your heart rate, and tells your body you're safe now. And in that quiet, you reconnect with your inner voice, the one that gets drowned out by the constant doing. Science shows that this simple act of stillness actually clears mental clutter and opens space for clarity, creativity, and self-trust. So you don't need an empty calendar to rest. You only need an intentional moment focused on you. We each have our own unique reasons for delaying, dismissing, or denying rest, and you likely know what yours are. But here's your challenge. Ask yourself, are those reasons worth putting your health at risk? There are real physical health risks when rest isn't prioritized. If you delay rest too long, chronic fatigue can start to feel normal. You might assume your low energy is just how you are, when in reality, It could be a sign that you haven't had enough true rest. Without it, you risk chasing fixes for a problem that rest alone could solve. Because when rest is neglected, fatigue doesn't just linger, it compounds. The body begins to shut down non-essential functions and turns survival into a full-time job. Yes, the lack of rest is pushing your body into overtime, making it work harder than it needs to. And it happens over time, and you might not even be aware that it's happening, because what feels like just being tired can mask much deeper issues like heart disease, a weakened immune system, weight gain, headaches, and gut issues, just to name a few. That's why rest isn't a luxury. It isn't a reward to be earned. It is a lifeline. So don't wait for exhaustion to rest. Use those off-switch moments throughout your day. Perhaps you're already doing something like this. I'd like to hear about it. Pause and share in the comments. Then when you're ready, let's learn the next strategy.
Feels so soulful.
Micro rest strategy number 2, replace any productivity guilt with peace permission. Today is easy to fall into the belief that your worth is tied to how much you produce, and often it happens without us even realizing it. From very young ages, many of us were praised for our performance, good grades, accomplishments, results, not our characteristics, not for our presence or our self-awareness or for how we care for ourselves or even other people. Then we have the grind culture that glorifies hustle as the ultimate virtue. And there's no wonder that we feel the pressure to always be doing more, to always be on. And we also have these competitive environments that make us feel like sometimes slowing down could be that we're falling behind, right? And then rest starts to look like something that's risky that only lazy people can afford to do. And for some of us, we have been exposed to traditions that praise things like self-sacrifice over self-care. And those traditions have taught us to maybe feel guilty for even wanting or needing a break. And all of this shapes how we treat rest, because it becomes something we actually have to fight for. It's something that we have to make the choice to choose on purpose. Because the truth is, many of us were never taught how to rest. We weren't given the tools to regulate our emotions or measure our worth beyond what we achieve. So when the idea of rest comes up, it either doesn't register or we don't know how to receive it. But here's your reminder. You are worthy even when you are still. Rest isn't a reward. It's a lifeline that is necessary for your mental health. It strengthens your ability to focus and make decisions. When you don't rest, your nervous system stays stuck in go mode, and you're on edge. You're quick to react, and everything starts to feel so much heavier than it actually should. And honestly, it makes sense that we resist rest when we've been taught to see it as laziness or weakness. But that couldn't be further from the truth, because here's the real deal. When you skip rest, your focus slips, your thinking gets cloudy, and even simple decisions feel overwhelming. So the very thing we avoid, rest, is often the key to feeling clear, capable, and grounded. Let's drop the idea of this productivity guilt and pick a peace permission to rest.
And so spiritual.
Micro rest strategy number 3, the no practice. Now, this tip builds on your strength to carry out tips 1 and 2, because it goes deeper beyond the physical or mental. It goes into the spiritual, and it's called the no practice, because sometimes the most restorative thing you can do to rest is protect your energy. And only you know what that is. Now, this tip is spiritual because it calls on you to honor your inner truth. It's not about protecting schedules, mindsets, or obligations, nothing like that. It's about protecting your spirit, which ensures that all of those things that you feel you need to protect align with your true internal values. Think about it. How often do you say yes when you know you should have said no? Or you say no when you know you should have said yes? You know, these types of misalignment occur throughout our lives sometimes because rest is needed, but for whatever reason, we continue to deny it. So things like clarity, energy, and our self-awareness, it tends to be low because we have not given ourselves the rest to allow us to align with the energy and the clarity and the awareness so that we know the decisions that we need to make for ourselves. This makes it harder for us to make those decisions in the moment. Under restful conditions, with your mind clear, your energy balanced, your awareness high, and your body not working harder than it needs to, it becomes effortless to say no to something that drains you. Or it becomes easier to say yes to the things that nourish your soul because you're going to be in alignment with what those things are. You're not going to need to second guess. Look at it this way. Saying no is one way your spirit gets to breathe, right? It's not just a break for the body or the mind. Rest is a return to your center. And it's one of the most sacred ways you honor your life force within you because the spirit doesn't thrive in constant doing. It thrives in being. And you have to allow yourself those opportunities to be by saying yes to those things and no to those other things. So here's your invitation. Take just 30 seconds today, tomorrow, or whenever you need to practice saying no to something that drains you. Visualize the person, the situation, the habit, the mindset, whatever it is. See yourself saying no. Hear yourself saying no. And then feel the strength in that no. Say it kindly, say it firmly, and say it knowing that every no to what depletes you is really a yes to what restores you. Remember, this practice helps you find your off switch so you can rest. It replaces any productivity guilt you're carrying with that permission to rest. Because you don't owe anyone burnout. You owe yourself peace. It keeps you in line with what truly feeds your soul. So use the no practice. And if you get distracted, if you forget, or if you struggle with enough energy to say no, remember this mantra. Every time I say no to what drains me, I say yes to what sustains me.
Growing, glowing.
Wellness Walker, you're already braver than you know. Remember, rest doesn't have to be big to be powerful. Rest isn't a reward, and rest is not about protecting schedules, mindsets, or obligations. So close the door. Allow those off-switch moments so you can reconnect with yourself. Rest is a lifeline. So replace that productivity guilt you're carrying with the peace permission you need. Always remember to apply that no practice because every time you say no to something that drains you, you're saying yes to the things that sustain you. I hope these micro self-care tips raise your awareness and encourage you to get more rest between roads. If you remember nothing else, remember this. When you've given your all and still carry loads, honor your limits and rest between roads. Okay, that's it for today's Pep Talk Walk, but you keep showing up for yourself. Keep shining your truth. Trust your steps. Trust your timing, even when the path feels unclear. And I'll meet you on our next walk for another pep talk, ready to remind you of your strength.
Full potential.